The metagame is already reacting to the power of Arishem. I have switched off of Arishem and attempted to beat it. I think that this list is incredibly well positioned into the current metagame as we go through this transitional phase. This is the Thena shell adapted to an Arishem heavy meta. You absolutely bully Arishem decks. You put them in a blender. You make them very, very, very sad with the combination of Darkhawk, Mystique, and Juggernaut. Their typical counterplay to you if you play a Darkhawk is they want to have priority, and if you let them have priority, they will blow up your Darkhawk. However, if you don't let them have priority, you Mystique the Darkhawk in another lane, you play Juggernaut to prevent whatever tech from happening into that Darkhawk lane, and you have two of the world's largest units. Now, the reason we're not fully leaning into this anti-Arishem thing, we are running cards to support the Darkhawk strategy, is because at the top end of Infinite, a lot of people are hard targeting Arishem with decks that look a lot like this. And that means that there's a little bit less in worthwhile in terms of just throwing Darkhawk as a tech card into whatever deck when you are trying to beat Arishem, because you are going to have to contend with other stuff. That 75% play rate over the first couple of days is significantly dropping off at the top end of Infinite. So we need to have a deck that has an honest game plan into normal decks and also a very good game plan into Arishem. Now, I do want to highlight something real quick right here. There is a little bit of tension here. And for the record, those of you who always ask for replacements, you're going to want to pay attention to this section. There's a little bit of tension here in the deck because we are missing a second or third or fourth good 2-drop here. A lot of the times our Thenas are very dependent on us having the card, specifically Kitty Pryde, to the extent that sometimes against Arishem decks, I will even hold a Korg until I can play it with a Thena on turn 3. Kitty Pryde ends up being so important because we don't have 3-drops and 2-drops that we're really happy to play. We have Angela, we're happy to play that. We have Thena, we're happy to play that. We have Ravonna, we're happy to play that, but we don't want to play Juggernaut, we don't want to play Sage, we don't want to play Mystique, and that means there's like a bunch of cards in the mid game that we don't want to actually play. So that means the only ones we really want to play in the mid game are Nocturne and, of course, Rock Slide. In turn, when people are asking about replacements, you absolutely can replace a card like Nocturne, a card like Sage, 100%, because we are so overloaded on things to do on the final turn. We are always having stuff to do on the final turn. If you told me I cut Sage and I just put in White Widow or Jeff and it was better, I would believe you. Feel free to make substitutions like that. I know people are going to be like, I can't play this deck, I don't have Sage. You can. I do not think Sage is core because so much of what this deck is doing is final turn Juggernaut and Mystique, or final turn Juggernaut and something else, right? Like, you're not always saging. She's helpful, but you are very reliant on this other thing that you're doing. You're very built to be a Mystique deck. Mystique fills the role that Sage does, and that means that Sage is a little bit surplus to requirements. Don't get me wrong, she's still just a phenomenal card to have. She's a good card, she's really big, but very replaceable, as is Nocturne. In both cases, my number one replacement would be Jeff. Kitty Pryde is the key to your normie game plan, and because of her absolute power as a Thena enabler, ends up being one of the most crucial cards for your Thena draws. When you don't have a Kitty Pryde, you end up running into a Thena that is like only, and I realize I'm saying this, like only a 2/7, right? Still a great card, but a far cry from the 210, 213 that she can be. When you have Kitty Pryde, she is very often going to hit those numbers. One note here. A lot of people like running out Thena on turn 2. If I have an Angela, I will almost always play Angela before Thena with Kitty. Almost every single time, because Athena on turn 2 never has a second card coming down with her. Athena on turn 3 with a second card is effectively the same as Athena on turn 2. I am very much in favor of using Kitty Pryde in this way. I don't like getting Red Guardian. I like keeping her safe as much as I can. And Kitty Pryde is the card that enables you to make plays like that and not feel like you're just throwing tempo away. You're a Rocks deck, so you definitely do like playing Korg. But there are a couple of things to note here. The first is, against most normal decks, I will play Korg early. Against an Arishem deck, where they're not very likely to draw the rock anyway, and he doesn't have a huge impact on how big the Darkhawk is going to end up being. It's going to be unapproachably large anyway. I will try to save this for like a turn 3 with Thena or a turn 4 with something else if I don't have a Kitty Pryde. And so that kind of min-maxing your Thena power is actually important, and it's a little bit counterintuitive, but I do think it is correct, because against a normal deck, they're very likely to draw that rock, or at least the earlier you play it, the more likely they are. Against an Arishem deck, I feel like it's so negligible that I need to just be playing this for power, and like, they're not really going to draw it. Let's be real. It's probably not going to happen. And because of that, you end up in a situation where, oh, okay, well, I can actually save this to get an extra proc on Thena, as opposed to just running it out there on turn 1. Thena is still really strong, and I don't think this deck would necessarily exist without her. A very powerful and elite level threat here. One thing that you will have to pay attention to, though, is that there are more Shang-Chis in this metagame than there were previously before Arishem came out, because Shang-Chi is really good against Arishem. All the Arishem decks are running it. Like, yeah, you're probably going to want to do this, right? Like, this makes sense to me. And so you're going to be doing a little bit of micromanaging of your Thena, making sure that it doesn't get to Shang range before the final turn of the game. Hopefully your final turn is what gets it to Shang range, because they can't actually Shang-Chi it when it's at 7 power. Shadow King, not particularly common right now, again, as a consequence of Arishem. So Thena gets to just be like, I am going to be 10 power for 2 energy. Enjoy. Angela is exactly fine. Like, she typically ends up being, 6 or 7 power for 2. You're not really taking much of a hit from running her. And the thing about Angela in this new 2-3 form is that even if you're doing, like, basically nothing with her, she's still at least a good-sized 2-drop, right? There's no situation where this card is actively bad anymore. It's just not a thing. She's just good, and sometimes she's better than good. And that's really all you want out of this, because you're really, Angela here is along for the ride. Kitty Pryde is so critical to making Thena function that Angela just ends up being a card we play because we're already playing Kitty Pryde. Ravonna was kind of medium for me. I did not feel like a lot of good stuff was happening thanks to this card. And that might just be like a little bit of a bias on my end, but a lot of the time it's like, man, I really wish this was like a third Thena Angela type card. I play Ravonna over them on turn 2 because that allows me to get a little bit more flexibility in terms of getting Thena procs. That's useful. But I do feel like in this situation, in this metagame, running out just like, your 4 energy Iron Man, your whatever that is a little bit scary to do. And Iron Man itself, like, this deck doesn't have a ton of things that go super tall alongside an Iron Man. So Iron Man is mostly getting you to like 20-ish in your lanes, and it's like, that's not bad. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, doubling your force is bad. But it's like, there are things that can beat it. And so I think part of what I'm feeling with Ravonna is like the relative increased weakness of Iron Man. I do think we're just kind of priced into running Ravonna, Iron Man, Mystique. If we want to be a Darkhawk Mystique deck, it does feel like that we just kind of have to do that. But I am sort of questioning the utility of it. Mystique is here to copy Darkhawk or copy Iron Man. Now, the thing about copying Darkhawk is that against Arishem decks, that's just a very powerful thing to do. Against other decks, she's typically like a 3-8 to 3-10, depending on how many rocks you put in the deck. And this is why we talked about Sage being a little bit redundant and replaceable, because in those situations, she's basically doing what Sage did, because now you have not just Darkhawk, but also Iron Man to copy, and they're like kind of the same card, this cheap 3-cost thing that is going to win a lane with a bunch of numbers, and then you have your Juggernaut in the other lane or whatever, right? And that's viable. Like, it's definitely a thing you can do. I've got nothing against it. It's a totally fine thing to do. I just think that, like, Mystique might be a little bit conflicting in terms of role here, where in the previous iterations of this deck with Sasquatch, Mockingbird, she was not conflicting in terms of role. She had less competition for card that gets discounted by Ravonna and is a lot of stats. Sage is good, but eminently replaceable. Maybe the most replaceable card in this deck. If you'd like to run Jeff instead, I think that would be fine. The reason Sage ends up replaceable is because we have so much expensive stuff at the top end. We're not discounting to the same degree that the Sasquatch and Mockingbird decks were discounting, but in exchange, we have more inbuilt disruption in the form of rocks, and free wins against Arishem decks, which I do think makes the exchange worth it. If you want to keep Sage in this deck, then I do think you probably want to be playing a non-Darkhawk version, because Sage and specifically Mystique is the overlap that makes her a little bit less useful. Juggernaut won me so many games. It's unbelievable how many games this card wins. It is a phenomenally powerful, incredibly unique, incredibly strong card. I have nothing but good things to say about Juggernaut, and I think in this build, it ends up sort of eating into Sage's market share a lot. When I talk about why Sage isn't as good, it's not just that Mystique is competing, it's also that a lot of the time you'd rather play Mystique Juggernaut on the final turn of the game, and the Sage just sort of sits there and does nothing. And so I do think that Juggernaut right now is an absolutely phenomenally powerful card. He just wins you lanes, just straight up. If you have priority, this guy might as well be Eliath. And he's an Eliath that you can play alongside copying a Darkhawk against an Arishem deck that has 30 power. It's gross. You are a Rocks deck, and therefore you are interested in playing Rock Slide. Last time I did this, I made a little bit of a joke out of it. I sung the Police's Roxanne with Rock Slide replacing it. I'm going to do that again here. I thought it was funny last time. Rock Slide! There we go. You don't have to turn off that location. I iterated on that from last time. I made that exact same joke last time. Almost exactly. But this time, I talked about turning off locations. Yeah, you get it. You get it. Anyway, Nocturne's just, like, really good. There are still people out there who are playing Limbo things, and she's good against that. But mostly she is a 3/5 that moves around. In matchups against Arishem decks, she ends up being fairly negligible. Like, she can solve some problems, but mostly she's a 3/5 vision. That's really all she's doing here. Just 5 doesn't matter as much as it used to against those decks, because they're playing giant blobs and stuff. And so you end up just looking at that 5 and then looking at, like, their 30 power blob, and you're just like, wonderful. I'm glad that happened. Iron Man is a good force multiplier, but I gotta say, I'm not as happy with him as I thought I would be. It's not necessarily like the preponderance of Enchantress and Rogue out there. That wasn't really what made me feel like this. It's just like, in situations where I don't have Ravonna, I'd almost always rather play something else. And by the same token, in those situations where I don't have Ravonna, I have to play Iron Man on 5 if I want to play him at all, basically. Because my turn 6, again, is so often spoken for with, like, Mystique Juggernaut stuff. There's a real sort of glut in this deck of stuff that's best if you do it late. And that's just sort of how you have to, like, manage it. But I do wonder if it's a problem that's solvable in deck building. I can't figure out if it's solvable in deck building. But to me, the way you have to play Iron Man in this deck is not the best way to play Iron Man. And that's just an awkward, weird situation to be in. Darkhawk is 2 things in this list. First of all, anti-Arishem, right? Like, that's pretty straightforward. We play Darkhawk to beat Arishem. Second of all, is he's not that big of a drop-off from what this list was doing before Arishem. The existence of these rocks, the power they have in normal matchups, the fact that Darkhawk is going to be a pretty big guy a lot of the time, we end up in a pretty good spot. I really do think that Darkhawk is just good enough that in this shell, you're pretty much fine with doing what you need to do and then free-rolling the Arishem matchup. That's the real thing that this comes down to, is your job is to make Darkhawk respectable enough. He's not going to be, I think, directly better than the Sasquatch, Mockingbird, Mysterio stuff that he is replacing. I don't think he's going to be better in the average against that. But the more people who are playing Arishem you play against, the better than that he becomes. Does that make sense? And because there are so many people playing Arishem, it's just sort of a very out of whack metagame, where, like, maybe in the future when less people are doing that, you don't really want to be the Darkhawk guy anymore. But right now, I feel like you probably do want to be the Darkhawk guy because there's so much Arishem. Granted, it does seem like it's significantly trending down at High Infinite. I'm interested to see how it ends up shaking out, because a lot of people I played had kind of similar ideas to me. Let's play Darkhawk, let's play Loki, let's beat up Arishem. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it when my dopamine receptors go burr after seeing number go up. Something I really enjoy. Number go up, one of the greatest joys in life, both in Marvel Snap and in the content that I create. So thank you so much. I have been Cam Best. I hope you enjoy the Cam Boost. We're going to jump into the gameplay. You have been phenomenal. and I will see you in the next one. Squatch. Love a Squatch. I think Arishem is healthy for Marvel Snap. Yeah, it is. I haven't played a... This is like my third Arishem deck that I've played against. And I have a deck trying to beat them as hard as I can. Squanch! Yeah, I love drawing cards. It draws me closer to Darkhawk. I now become basically guaranteed to Darkhawk Mystique in this game. Holy shit. Got my ass. Okay. I'll stay in this. My Darkhawk, my Mystique! Whoa, full skip? That seems wild to me. What is the thing that is happening here? What does a full skip mean here? Jesus Christ. I believe I win. I believe I win. Ew. So is this mill... Can he stop me? Hope I don't get jugged. Or Cosmoed. Or Eliath. Alright, let's find out. I did not do any math about this. I'm pretty sure I go to like 40, though, or some shit. Hiya! Yeah, 56 will do it. Fucking 56 will do it. I don't remember what this person was playing. US Asian equals Dead Scrolls. True. But I don't think we're that inbred yet. Oh! It's one of these decks. Solid debris. I like it. If we play DH on Krakoa, it'll be big. I know. I don't think we necessarily have the ability to do that, though. Not sure how they beat me. They would need to get something onto the flooded location that would beat me. I guess Claw could do it. I don't think they were going to stay there, though. We aren't playing any. We've already been like, oh, let's counter the meta. There's no goddamn Arishems around. 0 Arishems. Everyone's playing just normal stuff now. We're tired of mirrors. No, I think it's just very easy to beat Arishem. We've beaten every Arishem we've played. Yeah, agree, Jeff. What a weird-ass game we have here. I think Rock Slide is more important to get down than anything else. I think this is a full skip. Did people stop playing Arishem? Do I just win here? It's such a weird spot. What am I supposed to do? I think it's that. I have no idea. We just hope it goes to the far left, right? Whatever they play, we just hope it goes to the far left. Like, it's probably a Shang or a Rogue or something. Okay, we're good. Wait, no. No! Wait. Fuck, this is exactly the thing I was worried about. Oh, we're good. Okay. Why would that be their play? Why would... I hit Thena there. That's really interesting, actually. Because I didn't see anything to indicate that visually. Very weird. Ugh. How do I lose? We're good, I think. It ends up being a tiebreaker that I think we win. Oh wait, no, it's just 10. Cool, I forgot. Big fan of just winning games. Shang mid, stature right. But we played around it. I mean, it is an Arishem deck, so they are going to be able to do this. I don't like that. I mean, now if they just have a 3-drop, they get it. Bad. I mean, I suppose them drawing a card isn't the end of the world. I don't like it, though. Ow, fuck off. They're all randomly generated? That's crazy. They're snapping me as an Arishem deck. They must be doing something cool. I believe you. I'm gonna stay though. Like, what am I here if not to do this, you know? Oh, dude. Oh, dude. They were not prepared for what is about to happen here. Their nuts got jugged, baby! Watch this. You're gonna love my nuts. Watch this. You're gonna love my nuts. Okay, well, you GG'd afterward. I'm sorry for talking about my nuts. Jugged? No. Oh, God. Now it's clogged. Who's ready to lose 1 cube? The Slap Chop guy has a Patreon. Alright, that is weird. I regret everything I've done. Real bad. Every decision I've made has led me to this point, which is a bad point to be led to. Boy, I wonder what's happening on this mid lane right now. Wonder if I'm getting a Dr. Octopus in my fucking face right now. That would be wild. I can do something about it if I want it. Full skip. Weird. Does this work? It didn't work on purpose, but it did work. It didn't work on purpose, but that rock they needed to make sure the Titania thing didn't happen. Jimmy, what you doing? I think I have to snap. Yeah, we bully out every Arishem deck just by existing. So we still have that going for us. I laugh to know why it's losing. Got haters voting in the poll. I gotta tell you, I would have voted no on this one. Haha! I would have voted no on this one. I do not think that was a cook. I'm gonna be honest with you. But, I follow the will of the crowd, so the will of the crowd agrees with me and says timeout. Arishem deck. Drew Darkhawk. Whoa, they snapped me? Oh, shit. Dude, I'm horrified now. That's the scariest shit on earth. Let's go. They left. They will never expect the Negasonic. True. Once more into the nuts, my friends. I really need it. Zombies, can you just be a chill bro? Fucking... You just be chill. What's a good sub for Sage? Jeff. Pretty much whatever. If you're missing like a 2 or 3 drop in this deck, the sub is Jeff. I'm thinking about dropping that shit for Jeff anyway. Actual win trading? Real. Whatever. There's like 2 okay options and one that really sucks. That's the one that really sucks. Would he replace Jeff with Jug? Say it's his deck? Yeah. That is the one that really sucks. Okay, I do like that they blew that up for me. Thanks, Rockslide. You're the fucking man. Thanks, buddy. Issues of priority abound here, unfortunately. That actually does win it. Boy, this is a scary situation that I'm gonna stay in, but it is very scary. One card in their hand is a rock. Holy shit. Chat, we somehow completely pulled it off with the worst play of all of our plays. We were just like, fuck it. We're making a play. I did not expect a Doom here, but retrospectively, the Iron Lad maybe should have suggested that I should. Have, though. You know? A lot of things can happen. Do I hold this? No, I don't. I get that in there as early as possible. There's like a bit of tension here because if like I get Thena or whatever, I'm gonna want to have held that. Well, no, if you're sniping, I think snapping that actually kind of makes sense. Hello, Valkyrie. We're gonna figure that out today, Don. So they just have a Valkyrie. I did catch the Not Like Us music video. I did indeed. They move the Nocturne, play like 1-drop Gilgamesh or 1-drop Valkyrie. If you have Valkyrie, am I afraid of Gilgamesh still? It's not really one more turn. They have this Nocturne. Oh shit, I'm fucked. Wait, I'm not fucked? Did I scam out of this somehow? Distinct possibility that the answer is yes here. I ordered it super wrong, but I guess if they're blowing up the turn, it doesn't really matter that I ordered it wrong in case I drew Mystique the next turn. They're Thanos? What do you get reward at the end of the season? Nothing more than anyone else who hit infinite. I think this will be at least 4, maybe 7, depending on the 1-drops we get. Is this they clone, then get rid of the clone thing? Oi. That's about as bad as it could possibly get, I think. YOLO. All right, 50-50. That really jugs my nuts, dude. Sorry. Blob did not eat Shang, but we basically just played the Darkhawk because they were going to Shang. I should have checked, right?